Communication is the key for success of community police program. Communication. Why is communication so important? Community policing is more likely to be practiced in areas where the residents do not trust the police or the government, usually lower income areas that have the highest crime rates. The neighborhoods are usually more racially and ethnically diverse, and the surrounding areas have a very diverse religious and socioeconomic makeup. A lot of those areas, the broken window theories, comes into play. If you see the one broken window there, and you'll see another, and then you'll see another, those are the areas that the police will concentrate in and need the most communication skills. There are different forms of communication. Start with the verbal communication. The words that are used to send the message, that's what verbal communication is. The message that is sent, or what is said, or the message that is conveyed, and how it is said. How is it said? Are you saying it enthusiastically? Are you truthful when you say it? And your delivery, how are you delivering your message? The other is the nonverbal communication. For police officers, it starts out with the appearance and your uniform. Officers are going to either look professional or they're going to look sloppy. That's the first thing people see. Then they're going to notice the actual body language. Or when you walk up to them, are you walking fast? Are you slow? Are you stomping your feet like you're mad? Your posture, are you real rigid? Or are you relaxed, comfortable to be in the environment? The other is your eye contact. If you're directly looking in someone's eyes, or indirect, or shifting your eyes, some people look you direct in the eye, some people won't, depending on how they were raised or the culture. Gestures. Are you nodding your head like you understand what's going on? Are you shrugging your shoulders, or making signs with your body like you don't really want to listen to them? Are you pointing your fingers? And physical spacing. Are you close up on them, or are you invading their personal space? Or are you at a good distance so that you could communicate? But you have to remember that the body language will give you away no matter what you're saying. The communication process is basically the transfer of information. First step in that is the sender decides what information is needed. If you're going to send the message, you get to decide what kind of information you have to gather before that happens. The next thing that you have to do as a sender is form that message in your mind so that you actually have a clear message that you're going to put out there. Once you get that message in your mind, you transmit the message. You either speak it so the person can hear it, you write it down, or you display it somehow with gestures. Fourth step is make sure you send that message to the intended receiver. You have to send it to the person that you want to send it to so that they do what you are wanting them to do, or hear and understand what you want them to hear and understand. The receiver will get the message by either hearing it, reading it, or observing it. The receiver will get that message, the meaning of the message, after they interpret it, which means they process it through in their brain, and they decide if the message makes sense to them, or if they need more action or more information. If the receiver takes the information you give them and they take action, and they do exactly what you've asked them to do, or they understand what you, then they've understood the message. By doing that, they provide feedback. And feedback comes from both the sender and the receiver, and it's necessary to ensure the clarification and agreement on the message and make sure everybody understands what's going on. Step 7 and 8 can be repeated until the message is clear, so that you have the proper action and the proper feedback. If you can't get the message clear and get it done, go back to step 1, start the process over, resend your message. There are barriers to communication. Obviously, language is a big one. In the U.S., there's 20% of the U.S. population speak a language other than English. 62% speak Spanish, and 9% classified as limited English proficient, which means they speak some English, but not enough to carry on conversations or to explain themselves. Then you have cultural barriers. People that just come to this country are limited in their understanding of the U.S. police and how U.S. police operate. You have customs and practice that are used to interact with the police. Some countries they interact well, some countries they don't. They have a fear of the police, so you have to understand that while you're dealing with the police, dealing with different cultures. Then there's the eye contact, spacing, and fear of government. Some cultures are raised to where they won't look at authority figures in the eye because it's disrespectful, and others will. The other one is spacing. Some cultures like to get real close, some like to stay far away. So you have to understand that and understand what they're doing. Good tips for the officers that are out there is to learn the basic survival language skills. These will help when you're dealing with people that don't speak English. And you can learn those of the majority of the people that are in your community that you have to serve. The other is get familiar with the culture of the citizens that are within your patrol zone. If you get familiar with them, then you'll understand and you'll be able to communicate better with them. Another barrier is one of the main barriers, and that is when you're dealing with lifelong residents, people that have been in the United States, were born here, or they've been here most of their lives. And it's something that you may not have any control over, and that's how do they feel about the police? What kind of interaction have they had with the police? Do they like the police or not like the police? If they don't like the police, there's not a whole lot that your message is going to do, because it may not get through. And what are you thinking, or what are they thinking before any conversation even takes place? Those are things that you can't control. Officers need to step back a minute before they go out and try and do a lot of communication with any group, and they need to know who they are communicating with. That's key when you're trying to develop contacts within a community. You've got to know that there are different races: white, black, Hispanic, or Asian. You're going to have to learn how to communicate with those. With new immigrants, first generation immigrants, they may have negative feelings about the police from experiences back in their home country. The police where they come from may be corrupt. They may be brutal on the citizens. So you have to take that into account. Various religious groups that you're going to have to learn about, and religious practices. You have homeless or street people. You're going to have to deal with them, and sometimes they're just down on their luck, or they're on the street by choice of action. They choose to be there, or they take actions that keep them on the street. They may be hostile toward you. They may be friendly, but you're going to have to know what you're dealing with. The other one is the mentally ill and the elderly. The officer should receive some training, or try and get some training in in dealing with and identifying mentally ill or mental illness so that you can effectively deal with it. And with the elderly, the key to that is they go missing when they have certain dementia or they've they get scared, they get lost. The key here is to maintain that communication when you speak to them so that you can reunite them with their families. Communication is just simply building trust with community, and it assist in communication. So if you can build trust with them, that's a positive first step. Trust with the public leads to effective communication. Communication leads to relationship and partnership building, which is key in the community police program. Provides flexibility and solutions. If you're communicating, you'll get different ideas and work different ways to do problems, and it should give you a number of solutions, and you get to pick the best one. One of the good things about being able to communicate. And if you're communicating with that group of people or that community, your results, it's going to be you're going to get better results. You have greater success if you're able to communicate with them. The other thing is you must be an effective listener to communicate. You have to listen to learn and understand what people are saying. You have to be able to pay attention to what they're saying. You don't want to be able to challenge or try and persuade them when you're having a conversation. If you're trying to obtain information from them, you need to let them speak and listen to that so you can get that information. And you need to take turns talking and listening. Say what you have to say, but then listen for what they have to say. Listen for the facts. Listen for the feelings, how they're saying it back to you. And remember that talking and listening are equally important. No communication takes place if the message is not received. So they're listening to you, and then you have to listen back. So make sure you receive that message. The good thing about communication, especially in police work, it helps you develop an open communication process with the community. It provides a positive relationship and image of the police department. That's so important if you're dealing in a community police environment, that you have that good relationship and a good image within the community. If you don't develop communication, you won't have that. By not developing a communication, this is what you get. Failure to develop meaningful communication will result in a lack of respect and little community cooperation in obtaining goals. In summary, we talked about why the communication is so important. And why is it important, especially in community policing? What are the forms of communication, verbal, body, and nonverbal? The communication process and some of the barriers that keep the communication process from happening. And who the officer is going to be communicating with on a daily basis. And trust and cooperation that's built from communication. That concludes my presentation today. Thank you.